What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wealthy Mini Episode Edition with myself, Derek. Today, we're going to be talking about something that sounds super boring, retirement. We talked about this last time. I know you probably don't want to hear about it again, but it makes sense to do these things back to back, and you'll see why. Last time, guys, we talked about 401ks and compared them to individual retirement accounts or IRAs, or the most common thing that I don't know why, but it kind of bothers me. People call them IRAs. It's not a word. It's an acronym. It stands for Individual Retirement Account. If you aren't familiar with the difference between these two guys, go back and listen to that episode. That's good. We go in depth on that in 15 minutes. Somehow we go in depth on the difference between the two and why they matter. Today, we need to go into the specifics of a traditional IRA versus a Roth IRA, because it can cost you millions of dollars. That's why you need to know the difference. If you're starting to set up your retirement, you're starting to look at this kind of stuff, you need to know why you're picking what you're picking, because down the road, you can change your mind. You can say, oh no, I did a traditional. Now I want to do a Roth. All right, you can. It's called a Roth conversion, but you're going to pay for it. Literally, you're going to pay to do this because you're going to take pre-tax money that hasn't been taxed yet and put it in an account that should have already paid taxes. So anyways, we'll get to that. In general, guys, individual retirement accounts or IRAs get special tax treatment. That's what makes them special. It's what makes you want to invest in them and put your money away in them, because you get that special treatment. You're basically saying, I am going to take my money, instead of wasting it or setting it on fire, whatever you're going to do with your money, I'm going to put it in this. And the government likes that you're participating in the economy. You're participating in the market. You're helping move things. You're contributing your wealth to the machine, the economic machine. And they like that. So they pay you back by offering these different accounts that have special tax treatment. Now, if you know a little bit about this and you're saying, oh, well, there are more than two kinds of IRAs. Yeah, I know. But those are for businesses and special situations. Talking to the people, talking to the regular guys, the regular gals out there that want to know about traditional Roth, the one they've heard all the time, the ones that they're most likely going to work with. If you have a weird tax treatments and weird tax situation where you need to get into a simple IRA, that's another acronym. It's not just the word, or a SEP IRA. You probably have a guy for that, and you need to go talk to that guy. You need to have a tax specialist help you out with that, okay? Because it can get complicated. You want to make sure you're doing it right. So another thing that goes along with these special tax treatments, and we'll get into the differences between each account, is that it's all about retirement, right? Being a retirement account. The current retirement age set by the government is 59 and a half years old. So this is how it works. Regardless of your account, you make your contribution or deposit into the account. You put cash into this account. You decide what you want to invest in. You go buy shares of Apple, Google. You go buy bonds and CDs, whatever you want to buy. You go and you buy it and you go and invest, and you're awesome and you're making money and you're doing great. Down the road, you need to take the money out. Now, there's going to be two situations. First is the great and the good situation, which is you are past or older than 59 and a half years old. Wonderful. You've reached retirement age. It's time to take the money out and cash in on these tax breaks. So if you're over 59 and a half, it's what's called a qualified distribution. Makes sense, right? You make a contribution to contribute to the account. Now you need to distribute and make a distribution out of the account for yourself. It's the money to you. Being qualified, there's no extra penalties. It's not premature, which is the bad situation. Prior to 59 and a half, you'll pay extra taxes, penalties, fees, depends on your brokerage, things like that. There are extra tax consequences, though. They punish you. They say, hey, you agreed to keep this money in this retirement account to be a part of the economic machine, and now you're saying you're going to go buy a Porsche. Well, great. I mean, you're still participating, but in a different way, and the government wants your money in the markets, not so much in your Porsche. That's a depreciating asset. So if you're younger than 59 and a half, it's a premature distribution. It's possible you can, you call your brokerage, they'll say, yeah, we can do this for you. Just be aware. There's going to be some tax consequences for this. You're going to pay more and you may not want to. And it can get pretty hefty depending on the amount you're pulling out and your specific tax bracket and your situation, things like that. I'm not going to get into that. So let's roll into traditional IRAs because we want to keep this episode as short as I possibly can while giving you guys the essentials. So traditional IRA, it uses pre-tax dollars. What that means is it's very common in employers to do things like this. 401ks, they used to almost exclusively be traditional 401ks. Now a lot of employers are catching up to the times and offering Roth 401k contributions because they've realized how popular of an option it is. And you guys will see why. That's why I saved it for last, because I like Roth IRAs. That's what I use. But a traditional IRA basically says you get paid, let's say your gross paycheck, gross amount is $1,000. You take your 10%. So you take $100. That's a great contribution, by the way. If you're putting 10% of your paycheck, well done to you. So you take your awesome 10% contribution, you get the raw $100. This is before any taxes are taken out. There's no income tax, no Social Security, none of that jazz. You get the full $100 to your IRA, to that traditional IRA. Awesome for you. Then the remaining $900 for your paycheck, for our little example here, then the taxes get taken out of the $900. So you actually pay a little bit of less taxes right now at this moment of the paycheck, and you get to put the full amount saved in your traditional. Now, going along with that is down the road, Uncle Sam still wants his money. He still has his fingers in your pocket. So don't think that I put money in a traditional IRA, it doesn't get taxed. You are wrong. Every cent that Uncle Sam knows about will be taxed. That's just life. If it happens, it's taxed. So don't think that by putting it, it's traditional, it's pre-tax. Yeah, not sans tax, not without tax. It's just before tax. And you think that's before it gets taken out of my paycheck. Yes. Or it's before you retire. And now in our example, let's say you're 60 years old. It's time to retire. You're past the 59 and a half years old. You go to take your qualified distribution. Guess what? Time to pay taxes on that money you hid away, because it got to grow. You got to put a larger amount early on into this special tax retirement account, right? You got to put a larger amount in because you paid less taxes way back when you were young and making money. So you put more into the account back then. Now you need to pay taxes. And the catch with this, guy, is that a lot of people get caught off guard. And this is one of the huge things that makes a difference between traditional and Roth. Let's say when you first start contributing to your traditional and you're not paying taxes on your contributions, let's say you're in the lowest tax bracket. Let's say you're a newlywed or a young person, and you're obviously not making the most money you're going to make in your life, right? You're just at the beginning of your career, so you're not making a lot of money. So you're in a low tax bracket. Well, you're 60 now. You've probably moved up in life. I would hope so. If you're listening to this, you will. You're going to move up in life. You're going to make more money. You're going to be awesome and have all this extra money. Well, more money means more taxes. You will pay more taxes. So while you got to escape your low tax bracket when you were 20 years old, now that you're 60 years old and you're 3 brackets up or 2 brackets up, and you went from the, 15% or whatever range down there, now you're in like the 40% range because you're making millions and doing awesome. Now you're paying 40% taxes on this. You still have to pay your income taxes on this, guys. There's no escaping that. So while you got to escape it, and if you were able to just put, like I said, that 10% when you were young, that's great because you saved. And those are the types of people that are traditional IRA can benefit, because if you're just this amazing super saver that can be willing to sacrifice and put 10% of your paycheck, every paycheck, while for the first 30 years of your life, 40 years of your life, you're going to benefit very well from this, because you're going to have so much money right up front that gets to grow, right? And yes, you'll pay taxes later at a higher rate, but if you are the super saver that's super consistent and is willing to put a massive chunk of their money right up front, early in their career, early in their lives, when you're trying to get started and trying to buy cars and houses and have babies and things like that, obviously I'm making a point, then you can benefit from that. Now, there's another thing that traditional kind of gets you on that people don't always realize this, and this is sad when people call me because there's not really a way to escape it. Traditional IRAs have a time limit on them. And if you've listened to the episode of Just Wealthy, the full episode where we talk about time, we talked about compounding, guys. Time is your best friend, especially when it comes to growing your money. Well, so a time limit's not great. Now, traditional IRA has a time limit. When you hit 70 and a half years old, so 59 and a half retirement, 70 and a half years old, required minimum distribution. There's a formula out there based off of your account value and things like that, that basically says, hey, you're old enough. You don't get special treatment anymore. This money doesn't get to just keep growing because you've had 70 years to grow and deposit into this account. No more. Take it out. Every year, you got to take it out. It's a required minimum distribution. Doesn't have to come out in cash always. You can put it into other investment accounts. It just has to leave the traditional IRA. So you've got an age limit and a limited time to grow. So that's kind of a tricky thing there. It'll catch people a lot. Now, last little side note is that is fun about traditional IRAs is that you get to get some tax deductible treatment when you make these contributions. So every year when you do your taxes, you get to say, oh, I contributed to a traditional IRA, get a little tax break there. That's fun. I mean, small peas compared to the big stuff. Moving on to a Roth IRA. These are the ones I like. I think they're great. It uses after-tax dollars. So flip our earlier example. You get paid $1,000. Well, now it gets taxed off the $1,000 amount. Taxes gone. Thanks, government. So now you're left over with your leftover paycheck. Let's say you've got $800 left over after taxes get taken out. And you've got $800 left and you've got that as your paycheck to go to your life and bills and everything else. And now you need to pull out of that for your Roth IRA. You get to take it out of the $800 that's left over after taxes, nothing before taxes. So use it after tax dollars. The great thing about this is that your taxes are paid. You're done. You don't owe anyone anything else because you paid it up front. And now you can take, let's say, your $100, same amount as the other person put in, right? They put in 100, you put in 100. Hard thing about that is that you're just making a different type of sacrifice. They're going without the 100 up front because they're going to do 10%. Maybe you're going up and you're only going to be able to put $50 in instead of the 100, let's say. Now, you may be putting in a smaller dollar amount, but remember, you've paid taxes already. That chunk later down the road, you don't have to worry about that. It's not going to bite you later. So what happens is you make your deposit or your contribution into your Roth. And over time, it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. You cross 59 and a half, time to take some qualified distributions if you want. Now you go and you say, I want let's take $10,000 out of this account because I want to go on a cruise with me and my lovely partner in life. So you take the $10,000 out, you're good. You've already paid taxes. Oh, but wait, what about your profits and your gains? You only deposited a certain amount of money, but it grew. And then you sold stock. Wasn't there profit involved? Don't you have to pay tax on the profit? Nope. This is the amazing thing about Roth IRAs and why they're so great. And we'll get into how the government tries to limit their greatness. And, they do. You get tax-deferred growth, or not tax-deferred growth. It's already been taxed, right? So you don't have to worry about your growth. You don't have to worry about taxes down the road. It's done. You got to take your money out. Now, how the government limits this on you guys, this is how they kind of get you and get theirs. There is a limit to how much you can contribute every year. Now, in addition to that, there is an income cap on Roth IRAs. And it's really not that high. To some people, it could sound high. It is up in the, I believe the phase out period because it's tiered. I believe it's up in like the $180,000 range, something like that. And then it adjusts if you're married and filing jointly, things like that. But so it's up there and some people might say, oh my gosh, that's so much money. If my, partner in life and I make $300,000 a year, we're millionaires. Like, guys, have bigger goals than that, have bigger dreams. You can do so much more. That's really not that much money in the long run. So what that means, though, is you can't wait. You can only contribute so much every year. And as you get older and your career grows and improves and you make more and more and more and more money, the chances are that you are going to be capped at how much you can contribute every year grow. It's more likely that you can contribute less. And if you're contributing less, you get less tax tax-free growth, tax-free profits, because you can't put as much in. So the trick with Roth, just like everything else, but especially with Roth, is you need to start as early as possible so that you can always have your full maximum amount. I believe this year's like $7,000. See, it's not that much. That sounds like a lot. Like, oh my gosh, I saved $7,000 a year. That's so much over time. It is. It is a lot over time. That's the whole point, guys. Over time, it turns into a buttload of money. That is a very technical term in the industry, one whole buttload. But really though, guys, it sounds so dumb and simple when you talk about it, but it's one of those things that very quickly, as time passes and life goes so quickly. Oh man, look at this. Johnny's already grown up. Oh, our retirement. Oh, let's do a Roth. Yeah, we like that. Oh, wait. Oh, you have a great job and we've enjoyed you having a great job. And life has been so good with us having great jobs that pay so well. We didn't think about retirement until we're in our 30s or 40s. And now we make too much to use a Roth. And now what do? Now we have to do a traditional, and then we have to pay huge amount of taxes later on because now we're in a giant tax bracket. Like, do you see how this can quickly snowball into this? Oh no, I'm very quickly became very limited in what I'm able to do. Roths as well, guys. There's no required minimum distributions. So you can keep contributing until the day you die, and you never have to actually take it out. As well, Roth IRAs, they have a little bit easier processes for dealing with beneficiaries and passing your retirement accounts on, things like that. Now, one cool thing about Roths, and I've yet to see someone actually successfully do this, but that's just because I deal more on the active investment side of things so much compared to the retirement and tax stuff. That's why I don't want to give you guys specific tax advice, because I don't want to go to jail and get blamed for things, and that sounds not fun. But this is interesting and just a really cool feature of a Roth IRA. So let's say you contribute $5,000 because you're a boss, and you're $5,000 and you buy some stock and it goes up and you sell the stock. So let's say you make an additional $500 off that. So contribute $5,000, buy, sell stock. It's worth $5,500. Good job. Good stock picking. Now you need cash. And maybe decide out of the blue, it's like, oh no, we're having a baby, but we just made this massive contribution to our IRA because we emptied our savings for some reason instead of just making small, consistent contributions that will grow over time. Point made. It's okay. Roth IRAs are awesome because think about it. You already paid your taxes on this. So as long as I'm only pulling out the original amount that I put in, there's really no change in the tax treatment of that money. So I can pull out up to $5,000 and I'm fine. There's no early withdrawal penalties. It's not a premature distribution. If you remember from traditionals, we're good. And you can leave the $500 in there, and the $500 can continue to grow, and you can invest it and watch it grow and turn into 6 and 7 and 8 and 1,000, right? So it was really interesting. I've yet to see someone, and I've always wanted to see someone deposit like $1 million. Well, I guess you can't do $1 million, but do like the maximum amount of the contribution, $6,500, $7,000 every year. Do that for like 10 years, 5 years, right? So sounds like a lot of time. The great grand scheme of things, not a huge amount of time, really, when you're looking at retirement. And then just pull it all out, right? So let's say they just put $6,000 a year for 10 years. So they got $60,000 in this account now. And let's say that over those 10 years, it grows into, let's say it doubles. Let's say it turns into 120,000 because they made some great investments. They can just pull the 60 grand out and go put it into another account and use it in other ways, right? And start a business with it or something, anything really. And you've got the remaining half, $60,000 still in the account that can now continue to grow. It's almost like free money if you know what you're doing. So really cool. There is no such thing as free money, guys. Don't misinterpret me. And if you get mad at me, I don't care. If that sounds awesome and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that, there are ways that you need to be careful with that. There are time limits and things like that. The money needs to be in there and the account has to be open, stuff like that. So all the more reason not to wait. But just remember this, guys. This is a huge thing. I'm going to break this down to summarize the entire episode right here. So, traditional IRA. I get to skip out on taxes while I'm young. and have a low tax bracket, but I have to pay taxes later at a higher tax bracket. Now, let's flip it on the Roth. I use after-tax dollars, so I've already paid taxes when I'm young and have a low tax bracket. And down the road, I make all this money off my investments and I take the money out. I don't have to pay taxes on that or the profits that were made from those investments. So remember that, guys. In the end, you need to pick what's best for you. Where do you expect to end up? If you think down the road you're going to end up in a lower tax bracket, traditional is probably the better way. But if you are having big goals and dreams and you want to grow and you're going to have a higher tax bracket, in the end, when you retire, Roth is definitely the way to go. And start now. Don't wait for it. Hope you guys learned something. Go apply for it. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Just social media, email, however you want, at Derek Spawn on Instagram and other social media, or just shoot us an email at the podcast email, which is just wealthypodcast@gmail.com. Anything at all, guys, be happy to help you. Have a good night.